Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv, and it's kind of an interesting day. So, Jupiter had their airdrop on Solana, and it was huge. It was also a huge success. But there are now allegations saying that, hey, that was nothing more than a disguised ICO. Wow. Initial coin offering. That's actually a big deal. That could actually cause investigation. And that's what that means. So Meow came out and he defended, doing the airdrop, and the purpose of the airdrop. And I'm sitting back and I'm just kind of going, that's nice, but there are regulators that feel that could be a disguised ICO. Because I told you yesterday that, I had an issue with, you can take part in the airdrop, but, only if you're, transacting with Jupe, right? So, you flip Jupe to Solana, Solana back to Jupe, so on and so forth, right? That would actually qualify. It would have qualified you. So, but those are bogus transactions. Supposedly, the kid that supposedly made $1 million did it by having 10,000 different Jupe wallets. I'm sitting back and I'm just going, even 10,000 transactions, how much was it? I mean, I know it's cheap, but how much was it? Obviously, I don't think it was $1 million. So he made money off the deal. But still, though, you have to say that all of that are not real transactions. They're only transactions because people thought they were going to get paid for them. Okay. So yeah, it kind of smells funny. So yeah, it's going to bring on investigation. So that's going to have to be something I'm going to have to look into as that story continues to unfold, because I find it to be interesting. And I think that it's definitely going to have an effect on anybody else that wants to do an airdrop. Now, granted, there have been other airdrops, right? But they've been smaller. So when I look at this one, it's kind of like, yeah, problem. All right. Now, Senator Cynthia Lummis is saying that she's expecting there to be stablecoin regulation in the United States sometime this year. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, I believe it when I see it. Because it shouldn't take so long to figure out how to work with stablecoins. The term, I believe she used the term, we're in delicate talks. What do you mean? What do you mean delicate? What do you mean delicate? Why is that word there? And it just points to there's a lot of BS in U.S. politics. I guess that's the way it is, right? Some things seem more than straightforward. I don't know that I would use the word delicate. There is a lot to consider, what the impact is on on our fiat, the US dollar, what the impact could be globally, just all of these different things. And I think governments around the world are going to have to grapple with the idea that crypto's here to stay. It's not married to a given state, country. And a given state or country is not going to be able to control it on a global scale. You might be able to control it within your borders, but even then it's going to be difficult. So just saying, that could be a difficult thing to handle. So I'm going to be interested to see how that actually pans out. And she says it should be a favorable legislation. So, okay, we'll see. Failed crypto lender Genesis has finally come to an agreement with the SEC, and they're going to pay $21 million. They're going to pay $21 million. Now you understand why I kept bringing up Digital Currency Group, because they own Genesis, right? And stretched for money. Now you know why. So I'm still paying attention to Digital Currency Group and what else they're going to have to do to get more money in the coffers. What are the bills? What other bills they're going to have to contend with, and everything else, and how that in general is going to affect how the cryptoverse moves forward. Because you figure that over the years we've gone through shakeouts, right? Companies that didn't necessarily make the right decisions, they get shaken out. Founders get shaken out. I mean, look at CZ, he's in trouble. Look at, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's in huge trouble. CZ, I don't know that I agree with him being in trouble. You know what I mean? I don't know the details, so there must be a reason. But he's facing significantly less time if he actually has to go to jail than Sam Bankman-Fried. So we should be paying attention to that. We should also be paying attention to, how did Sam Bankman-Fried get there? I'm going to leave it at that. I have other reports that touch on it. So that's kind of a big deal. Something else that I noticed. There is a controversial SEC rule that says that custodians of digital assets, Coinbase, anybody that's holding keys on behalf of somebody else, they would have to carry the dollar value of those digital assets on their balance sheet. It's not theirs, but they would have to carry it on their balance sheet. And there are a number of people in Congress that are like, nah, that's not right. That's not right. So they're actually trying to push forward a bill that would disapprove of the SEC's new accounting rule. So yeah, there's a huge amount of pushback on that. And I would definitely agree with that. There was another report that there was an executive order to look into the electricity usage of Bitcoin miners within the United States. And there happens to be a report out that says only 2% of the electricity in the United States is used for Bitcoin mining. There are tons of other industries that use a hell of a lot more. So I kind of sit back and I just go, yeah, that kind of checks out. And as they move, and the reason why I think is because a lot of Bitcoin miners moved to renewable energy. And that was kind of a big deal. But it's not just, what kind of energy you're using. For me, it's also going to be, well, but you're still taking up 2%. How do, what capacity does that represent? And does it detract from any place else that needs it? And I don't think it does. But that's also going to have an impact as we move forward, right? Because the miners, in case you haven't noticed, have been purchasing more rigs. Just saying. So that's something for me to pay attention to. One other thing that I noticed is Polygon Labs laying off 19% of their staff. Like, what? But yeah, they've got to kind of reorganize, realign things. They thought they were going to grow more than they did. So yeah, you've got to adjust. But 19% is a huge number. I remember back in the day, capacity planning was like a really big deal. And it just seems like countries around the world just, especially in the United States in the tech sector, banking sector, just did not do a good job with capacity planning. And so now you're hearing about massive layoffs all over the place. And that's a problem. That really is a problem. Companies are going to have to figure that out and do a better job. But it's almost as if kind of don't care. We hired you, you did some work, you paid you. Now we got to jettison you. You get to go look for another job. They get to look good in front of their investors. The remaining people at Polygon Labs, I think, are getting a 15% raise. So not necessarily that, we're getting rid of this 19%. It's a lot of people. And all that money is going into, shareholders' hands, putting it back to the people that are staying. But it's still unfortunate. We need to do better. In this day and age, we should be able to do better. We should be able to figure that out. Valkyrie, for their spot Bitcoin ETF, actually added BitGo as a second custodian, because I believe Coinbase is the first. So you see what I mean about how companies are going to be able to spread out and get more involved in that space. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm wondering who else is going to make the same kind of move, and who would they choose? Would they choose a Kraken, a Gemini? Would they also go with BitGo, an OKB? Would, just what would they be able to do? Or OKX, what would they do? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Again, I'm looking at things that are going to have a long-term effect. Not everything is immediate. Sometimes news catches my eye where I think it's going to have a longer term effect, and I'm paying attention to that and I'm tracking it forward, right? Because news comes in cycles, and some cycles are, hey, we're going to do something. Hey, we did something. Hey, something is going well. or we're about to launch something and then something's going well, or the launch, and then, so you see how it can come in waves. So that's some of the stuff that I'm paying attention to. And I hope you are too. I hope you're doing your own research and paying attention to this as well. Anyway, you know what we should do? That's right. We should get into the numbers. So let's go do that. And switch over. And there you go. Let's put my notes down. There you go. I refreshed this like about 8 minutes ago. And you can see where, there aren't that many winners. We're really moving sideways. We're seriously moving sideways because I have a 5% rule, right? 5% is just lateral movement to me, right? Unless it's 5% and 5%. Now you've got a wider. It really depends on what range you're moving in, but I have that 5% rule in place. So you figure 5% rule kicks in right about here. There's nobody here that I'm actually paying attention to except sats, ordinals, but I'm not really paying attention to that either at the moment. And right? So you have a whole bunch of people moving sideways. And then on this side, you have a corresponding kind of look. It ends at 6%. Excuse me. So you figure there's only a few more before you hit 5% over here. So there aren't that many winners, right? Pith Network, ranked at 96, is up 27%. And Pith Network is arguably the second largest oracle after Chainlink. So I do pay attention to Pith Network. I want to see what they're doing, how they're doing it. No, I'm still not playing with Pepe Fork. Chainlink is up 15%. That is the number one oracle. So yeah, I kept telling you guys, got to pay attention to this, got to pay attention to this, got to pay attention to this. Anything that has to deal with being, the fabric of Web3, the connective tissue, as I call it, for Web3 and cryptoverse, that's what you want to pay attention to. And Chainlink is indeed a part of that connective tissue. And it's moved big. Just a few days ago, it was like $14. Now you're looking at $17. That is a huge move. A huge move. Pay attention to that. Right? Immutable is up 13%. Who else do I like here? No, Multiverse X, but I haven't gotten into it. I've heard the name, bantied about, but I haven't gotten into it to do enough research on that. Cardano is up 6%. That's a decent move at 52%. Because remember, just a little while ago, it was at 49. It took that dip, took that hit, and now it's at 52. So you could have made money off of that. I'm not really into Tezos. Solana, 6% move. Yeah, and probably still feeling that nice buzz from the airdrop from Jupiter, right? Let's see here. Yeah, relaunch. My gosh. This is going to be painful because it might actually crash the recording, so we might not get to. Let's see.